Stop digging clay soil forever. The Amish layering method that turns hard dirt into black gold fast. Why digging clay soil makes it worse? Clay soil is dense because its particles are microscopic and tightly packed. When you dig or till it, especially when it's even slightly wet, those particles smear together like pottery clay. The pores collapse, air disappears, drainage stops, and the soil hardens again, often worse than before. Digging also destroys fungal networks and soil structure that take years to rebuild. Every time you turn the soil, you reset progress back to zero. The Amish learned long ago that the fastest way to improve soil is to leave it alone and build on top of it. The Amish mindset behind black gold soil. Instead of forcing clay to behave like loose soil, Amish farmers focus on creating humus above it. Humus is fully decomposed organic matter that acts like a sponge and a pantry at the same time. It holds water, releases nutrients slowly, and creates perfect living conditions for microbes and worms. Once humus forms on top of clay, biology does the rest. Roots, fungi, and worms naturally pull that goodness downward, opening channels in the clay without mechanical damage. This is soil building, not soil fixing. The real secret is layering, not mixing. The Amish humus method relies on stacking materials in layers, rather than blending them into the ground. This mimics how forest floors build soil year after year without human intervention. Each layer has a purpose, and together they create a self-feeding system. You are not improving soil by strength. You're improving it by sequence. So, we're starting with cardboard to wake up the soil. The base layer is just plain cardboard, making sure all tape and glossy ink are removed. This is laid directly on top of the clay, overlapping the edges so, no soil is exposed. Cardboard suppresses weeds, holds moisture, and slowly breaks down into carbon. But more importantly, it becomes a fungal magnet. Fungi are the key players in breaking apart clay particles, and cardboard gives them a food source they absolutely love. Before adding the next layer, soak the cardboard thoroughly. You'll want to use about 1 gallon of water per 4 square feet until it's fully saturated, but not floating. Now let's talk about carbon layers that create structure. On top of the cardboard goes a thick carbon layer. This can be dried leaves, straw, shredded paper, or even untreated wood chips. The ideal thickness is between 4 to 6 inches. Carbon creates air pockets and prevents the pile from collapsing into, a slimy mess. It also slows decomposition just enough to build long-term soil structure. After laying this layer, water it using about 1 gallon per 3 square feet. The goal here is damp, not dripping. Next, we move on to nitrogen layers that bring the heat. So, next comes nitrogen. This is where life really explodes. Use fresh grass clippings, vegetable scraps, manure, or green plant waste. The thickness should be about 2 to 3 inches. Nitrogen fuels bacteria, which generate warmth and accelerate decomposition. This heat is what jumpstarts the transformation from raw material to humus. Water this layer lightly with about 1 gallon per 5 square feet, just enough to activate microbes without washing nutrients away. So, repeating the Amish ratio really works every single time. The magic ratio that Amish growers use is about 2 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen by volume. This balance actually prevents odors, discourages pests, and keeps decomposition steady. You just repeat the layers in this order until you reach a total height of 12 to 18 inches. Each repetition feeds a different group of soil organisms, creating this diverse underground workforce that operates around the clock. Here's a raised bed example you can copy today. Imagine a simple raised bed frame placed directly on clay soil. Inside the frame, you lay cardboard, then carbon, then nitrogen, repeating until it's full. There is no digging, no mixing, no hauling dirt from elsewhere. Within weeks, the layers settle. Within months, worms appear. And within 1 growing season, roots are penetrating what was once solid clay. By the 2nd year, the boundary between clay and humus starts to disappear entirely. Why does water matter more than effort? Well, most failed soil projects fail because they dry out. Microbes simply can't function without moisture. The Amish approach treats water as an ingredient, not just an afterthought. Every layer is watered as it's built, and the finished bed is kept consistently moist, especially in those first 6 weeks. This doesn't mean soggy, it just means evenly damp, like a wrung-out sponge. Proper moisture allows fungi to spread and bacteria to multiply, doing more work than any shovel ever could. Now, let's talk about how clay turns into black gold faster than you might expect. As organic matter decomposes, organic acids form. These acids bind to clay particles, pulling them apart and creating aggregates. Aggregated clay drains better, holds nutrients better, and allows roots to breathe. Worms follow the organic matter downward, dragging humus into the clay. Their tunnels act as natural drainage pipes. Over time, what was once hard and cracked becomes dark, friable, and alive. This is not theory, it's biology at work, keeping improvement going year after year. Once the system is established, maintenance is simple. Each season, just add a fresh carbon layer, followed by a lighter nitrogen layer on top. Even 2 to 3 inches is enough to keep feeding the soil. There's no need to rebuild from scratch. The soil remembers. Every year, it gets better, deeper, and more resilient. Drought resistance improves. Heavy rain drains faster. Plants grow stronger with fewer inputs. Why this method is permanent, not a patch. Unlike sand, gypsum, or one-time amendments, humus doesn't wash away or break down quickly. It becomes part of the soil itself. The Amish Humus Method works because it aligns with how soil has formed naturally for thousands of years. You're not correcting clay, you're evolving it. The freedom of no-dig gardening. Once you stop digging, gardening becomes simpler and, honestly, more enjoyable. Beds stay soft, weeds decrease, watering becomes less frequent. You spend less time fixing problems and more time harvesting. For beginners, this removes intimidation. For experienced gardeners, it restores efficiency. Either way, it puts nature back in charge, exactly where it belongs. If you've been battling clay soil, it's time to stop. Build instead of break. Layer instead of dig. Let microbes, fungi, and worms do the heavy lifting. This is how hard dirt becomes black gold. Not slowly, not painfully, but steadily and permanently. If this guide helped you rethink your soil, make sure to subscribe to Farm Basic for more practical, no-nonsense gardening wisdom. Share this with anyone still fighting clay the hard way. Together, we can grow soil that feeds gardens for generations.